we're going to get started. So welcome to...
Hi, morning.
Oh, good morning. Hi, Jose. Hi. We're going to get started today. You've come to the UC San Diego Design Lab and Design Forward Alliance's presentation on co-designing with 7.1 million people. Our bid to become the world's design capital. Yes, it is big, ambitious, and hairy, just like it sounds. And we're really excited to share our work with you today. My name is Emily Knapp, and I want to share with you a little bit about the plan for today's panel discussion. So I am joined by my esteemed group of colleagues who are part of a hundreds of person collaborative binational effort to lead our bid to become World Design Capital. So today we're going to tell you just a little bit about what is World Design Capital and who is leading that work. With Michelle Morris, who's the president of the Design Forward Alliance, the organizing group who's helping to lead that effort. Then we're going to provide you with a little bit of background on where we've been so far, specifically related to the bid that we submitted to the World Design Organization in March, and how that work helped us to secure our position on the shortlist. That will be led by Stephanie Sherman, who is the bid lead co-author. Then we're going to talk a little bit about where we're at right now, which is preparing for a shortlist visit from the World Design Organization's governing body to help determine whether or not we will become World Design Capital in 2024. That will be led by our Carlos Cristiani, who's the shortlist visit executive director. And then we will hear from Eddie Matthews and Laura Araujo, who are leading our community-led efforts with our site visit experience committee. They're going to tell you about this incredible binational collaborative effort, what that actually looks like in practice, and how you might be able to get involved in the future. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Michelle Morris.
Great. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to be with you today. And just to get us started, we would love to hear from you. This is an initiative that is really meant to be for all of us, by all of us, and something that we can collectively own. And to do that, we want to each have a voice. And so one prompt that we've been using around the community and on both sides of the border is, what is one place or, one experience, one moment that makes you feel happy or proud or hopeful? Something where you remember, I sat there and thought, wow, I'm lucky to live here or work here or be here. And just share it in the chat. It can be anything. There's no wrong answers. It could be a smell, a sight, a feeling, a place. We'd love to hear from you. So just take a minute and put that in the chat. And we'll be capturing all of this. If you want to add, who you are when you put your thoughts in, great. If you don't, that's fine too. It's great to see things about the water, about the arts, walking through Balboa Park. Love it. Food, yes. The environment for sure. The road to Ensenada. From Coronado, nice, great. Well, we won't spend too much time here, but please, as we move throughout, we want to continue to hear from you. We're gathering all of this, and as you'll find out over the course of today, as we move through this journey together as a region, and then also with the World Design Organization, and we share all of these sentiments in different ways, your voice will be heard. So thank you so much. Please continue to put your thoughts in the chat and build on each other's, right? One amazing component of design and community is that one thought triggers another thought, right? So there's it becomes so much more than the sum of the parts. So as Emily mentioned, how do we co-design with this diverse, multicultural, multidisciplinary international community of 7.1 million approximately, multiple cities, multiple tribes, 2 countries, a border? How do we go ahead and do that? And that's really been our challenge for this World Design Capital initiative. In general, the World Design Capital is around, this designation is about acknowledging cities that are using design for growth and development across economics and culture and social and environmental sectors. But for us, we wanted to go even further because all of that, but we also want to say, how do we do this in a community-driven way? How do we actually tell the story of what we know to be our binational region that maybe you don't see in the headlines, or maybe you don't see, outside of those who live here? And we're working to really change the process of how these kinds of designations, or even around the conversation of design, of community engagement, of transformation. And at this particular time in history, when we're still going through a global pandemic and trying to navigate that, when so much around social justice and inequity has come to the surface, as well as people rethinking all parts of their lives, what better time than design, and what better time than for us to own how we move forward into the future? We're doing what no other city has done. So just so you know that this binational bid, we're the first binational bid ever. We would be the first US designation. We're the first in many ways doing community-driven design in this way. And we've been told by previous designated cities, as well as our colleagues that are in this World Design Capital space, that they're intrigued and interested in our process. In this we of designers, the design curious, so design professionals, people who do design but maybe don't call it design, people who want to understand more about design, those who are impacted by design. And that's basically everyone. So everyone on this call and everyone in our region is going to see themselves and want to own a part of this initiative. That means you. I'm just going to spend just a moment talking about where this all came from, because we get this question a lot. Why the World Design Capital? And so the Design Forward Alliance is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit that came out of the UC San Diego Design Lab back in 2016. And it was meant to be a way to amplify and augment the design community and all the amazing work that's happening there. And what's happened over time, we realized that it wasn't just design that we're talking about, it's design and innovation, and how we as our region see ourselves. And so we started off with this Design Forward movement and a summit. We had several different events over the years. But where we really where we came to was, we want to do something that's really transformative, partnering with people like the Burnham Center for Community Advancement, our city officials, county officials on the San Diego side, those in Tijuana and the state of Baja on the Mexican side, all the community organizations that I've been talking about this binational narrative for so long, through arts and culture, or through the Border Coalition, or through healthcare, or through environment, or through open spaces. And so this really seemed to resonate. And so this World Design Capital, although some people may think, why design? Remembering that we're all designers or impacted by design, that it really feels like this is the right time. And this is something that we can all get excited about. Next slide, please. And the theme that we have landed on, if you're not aware, is home. And we thought, and by we, this is, several years of roundtables and discussions and interactions, and, talking to those who have been doing work in this space for decades. And this idea of home, which is an acronym for human-centered, open, multidisciplinary, and multicultural, and experimental, which we like to think about as sort of our design DNA. But it also means that we can point to the fact that we're home to so many achievements and amazing innovations in our binational region. Home also has a lot of meanings. It means, usually it brings up something visceral in people, maybe, something nostalgic, or maybe, as you saw in the chat, certain things about what it means to be where you live or work. Maybe it brings up some concerns about homelessness or affordable housing or our planet. So the applicability across the board to that end of collective ownership really seemed to make sense. And it tells a different story than so much of what's out there right now, both about our region and in general in the globe today. Next slide, please. So we're just getting started. We need everyone's help. This is an ongoing journey, as you'll see. We already have hundreds of people working on this. We want you to be one of them if you aren't already. And we want you to tell us, in addition to what reminds you of why you love our region, let us know maybe a thing that you'd like to change for it to be the home you imagined. So be really active in the chat, and we'll give you other ways to engage with us. But know that this World Design Capital designation, we hope, is a platform for all. And if it doesn't feel like that for you, let us know so that we can iterate, because that's a big part of design as well. So I'm so proud and honored and humbled to be here with you today. And I'm going to pass it on to one of my esteemed colleagues.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Sherman. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. I'm a PhD student at UC San Diego in the visual arts. I've been collaborating with the design lab for, if I told you, then you'd know how long I've been in my PhD program. It's been a pleasure to work with them over time to help have been a catalyst for the Design Forward Alliance and get that summit and events kickstarted, and now to be a part of this initiative of the bid. And I had the great pleasure of serving as the bid lead co-author with Catalina Silva of Tijuana, but I would say as co-author it was really more co-choreographer, because we had hundreds of people researching, assembling, coming together every Monday for Zoom sessions where we would chat about theory and the ideas of the narrative. And so it's really been, it was a tremendous process of putting together pretty much a 200 some odd page inventory of design in our region, and of an overview, which we'll share with you in the chat in just a minute. But we'll tell you a little bit about the main things to spare you the incredible amount of detail. So the core principle of this initiative and at the heart of the bid is that design is everything, it's everywhere, and that it includes everyone. And this is just to say that design is intention. Design is what we make and what we put out there and what we set up, and the kind of, not only the kind of products we make, but the services we create, the systems that we choreograph and unfold, the policies that we create are designed. And so it's really across the spectrum, everything that you can imagine, we see that there's design in it, and there's the possibility for more design in it. Emily, I'll let you, yes, great. So, and for us, there was really three ideas that were motivating what we wanted to do with not only making this proposal, but really bringing this initiative to the fore. Because from the beginning, we always said, we're gonna write an incredible bid, we're gonna assemble a design inventory of San Diego, and no matter what, we're gonna treat this initiative as work we're doing to build a stronger design community. And so the first thing was really just to celebrate the design community that's already in San Diego, Tijuana, and sometimes a design community that's under the radar, not only amongst our region, sometimes, but more often is less notable to the broader world. So it was really about bringing forward that story and amplifying that story. Not only that, the story that already exists, but using the initiative to catalyze existing efforts. So how can we amplify and fuel and energize efforts that are already in place? So we intentionally don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make things that are already going on better, more connected, and more resourced. And then finally, of course, to co-create the future. We know that the region has tremendous assets and beauty and historically incredible talent, and also things that we don't want going forward and we want to remedy. And we think that the best way we can do that is by co-creating the future together. So as we started to conceive of the bid and what we might do with the World Design Capital designation, we kind of broke it down into 5 opportunities. That there would be World Design Organization events, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment, but these are events that throughout the year, the World Design, any city that's designated as a World Design Capital will host, and they range from big celebrations and parties to policy summits, to more intimate gatherings that are really embedding design at different levels of government and industry. We see this as regional design challenges, so challenges that we could only take on as a collaboration between San Diego and Tijuana. Legacy project areas, these are areas that we really wanna, that we know the region as a region we've been working on for a long time, but we wanna amplify. And then of course, community highlights, all of these incredible projects, grassroots that are dispersed throughout the region that we wanna make sure we forward. And you can see from this incredibly perhaps complex timeline of what we imagine 2024 looking like, a lot of it is actually plugging in design initiatives that are already taking place. And so this is when we imagine the World Design Capital designation, we imagine starting with just celebrating so many design things that are already happening and building them, bringing them together under one umbrella. And at core of the bid, as we've been progressing it and designing it, and has been these values. And we wanted to really put forward these values so that we can live by them and also develop projects at whatever scale we're designing them, so that we have some a core fabric that we can abide by. And those include, you can read them, but I'll just highlight collaboration and transparency, inclusion and multiculturalism, respect for one another, and human-centered design leadership. So we've also been honing what we think of as what we're calling the 6 design stories, under which all of the different initiatives and things that we want to do will unfold. And this is both a way of translating the work that we're doing in the bid, both to the World Design Organization as we convince them why we're obviously the best choice to win the bid, but also to one another, so that we can kind of share and collaborate across the city and region on these different projects. And these 6 design stories are: our approach to design is driven by our values, not only the values of H.O.M.E, but the ones we just shared. We support design as a mode of learning. So that's not only speaking to the kind of education work that's happening across the region on all sorts of levels, but really thinking about lifetime learning as a way of, as a means of design, and also the way that design is continually learning how to do things better and how to work with and through itself. We celebrate design by and with community and culture. And so this speaks to our community-driven aspects and our emphasis on the cultures that are really both on both sides of the border and the ones that come together across the border. We catalyze design for intelligent, empathic, and equitable social systems. Through this initiative, there's a tremendous focus. I think as a region, somebody is mentioning transportation planning in the chat, but just as one of the ways that we're really redesigning infrastructure in our region. We've got development, we've got housing, health, border, as all of these incredible areas that we're innovating, and we really see a whole new level of social development at the key of these. The 5th story is we advance design for climate action. Obviously, the climate crisis is at the forefront of our concerns, and we are already a leader in some of those efforts to be incredibly green and blue, sustainable and progressive cities. And we want to not only amplify those, but continue to lead the way in those efforts. And then finally, we incubate design-driven innovation. And so that's really championing the kind of industry, policy, business, and biotech and tech development that's really generating not only the regional economy, but also a lot of the cultures that are happening across the border. I'll just, as an anecdote, one of the things that we featured in the bid, which asked us a number of questions about COVID, was the exciting story about how research in the sciences and biosphere in Torrey Pines was then being manufactured in Tijuana maquiladoras, and that amazing, quick, rapid, innovative life cycle and ecosystem of COVID-related products just has had a huge impact on the pandemic. And so, as you can see from this timeline, we're at an incredibly wonderful point. Our bid was accepted. We submitted the bid in March, it was accepted, and we were shortlisted as of July. And we're now in the process of preparing for a site visit, which Carlos will tell you all about.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you everyone for coming this morning. My name is Carlos Cristiani, and I serve as the executive director for this shortlist of the shortlist phase and finalist phase for the initiative. We are going to be hosting a delegation, a two-person delegation from the World Design Organization. It is comprised of Bertrand Derome, who is the current executive manager of the World Design Organization, and Luigi Ferrara, who is the past president. This, of course, adds a layer of complexity to everything that we do, because we know that we want to give them the best experience of our region, but we also want to equip them with all the artifacts, information, and feelings to relay our story back to the selection committee, which is peppered around the world. Thank you. And this is a great opportunity also for Mexico and the United States, and of course, San Diego and Tijuana, to understand ourselves for who we are and what we represent, which is one region, and we're in this together. The fact that our competitor is Moscow in Russia, has many layers of narratives, of course. If we hone it down to just design per se, I invite everyone to watch the video that Moscow produced, and of course ours as well. But Moscow's is very interesting. It's a beautifully produced video. I think it gives you a very good idea of who our competitor is, what their ethos is made of. And while Moscow has a long tradition in industrial design and architecture, their promise of design is everything sort of falls flat a few seconds after you watch the video, and we're presented with a very small version of what design is, a very small sliver of what design actually represents. We not only lead by community and in community, but we also understand design in a more holistic way. We do live up to our promise that design is everything, design is everywhere, and design is everyone, like Stephanie mentioned earlier. And our initiative and our project could not be possible without you, the community. So we really value your feedback. Now, getting into the details of the visit, we're going to be moving this delegation north to south, west to east, and of course across the border. And next slide. We only have 2.5 days, which it's going to create very interesting logistics challenges that we're solving right now. But we have a fantastic team, and I think we're ready for this. And this is kind of excuse me, a visual schematic of what are the tiers of communication that we're looking at. And of course, we want to project what is tangible and physical for those that are coming. We also want to leverage the multimedia platforms that we're going to be using. One of the artifacts that we will create is an audiovisual piece that will be brought by this delegation back to the selection committee, so that they can not only see themselves memorialized in the experience, but we can also have an ability to show in first person what we are made of to the selection committee, and not just hope that our story is going to be carried away in the right way. And we, of course, have our community voices front and center. You will be prompted to share a video with us today. That is going to be very important, because we want our community voices to tell our story, and that's then the selection committee to be able to see beyond the administrative structure of the initiative, who we are in a more granular level. Next slide, please. And the selection criteria for the who, the what, the where has, of course, many layers as well. One of them is this is chosen for our audience, our primary audience, which is this two-person delegation, and of course the selection committee, who's going to be making the decision ultimately. We want it also to be clear and simple. The bid has a lot of information, a lot of ideas and concepts are there, and that is the reason why the bid was accepted. But we needed to be able to boil it down in a way that was comprehensive, that allows us to tell our story in clear and simple terms, so that they are memorable and we get selected in the end. We want to have a lens of inclusion and community through every single thing that we do. At times that requires time, effort, difficult conversations. That's why we're here for. Beyond the designation itself, this is a transformational moment for the region, for San Diego and Tijuana. And it allows us to not only see each other under a different light, but also look at ourselves in the mirror and make this region better for everyone. In the end, we want to show the transformational power that the initiative will bring to the region. And a lot of the political will and excitement is only going to be possible with the designation. Next slide. And well, this is the the boil down of what the experience is going to look like. And if you would like more granular detail on what is behind this this visual representation, please send us an email at H.O.M.E2024@designforwardsd.com. For the arrival evening, we're going to have on October 3rd. So this runs October 3rd to October 6th. We have the arrival at the airport. We move to the hotel, and then we have a reception at the Salk Institute. Day one is San Diego. We will start the day at the UCSD Design and Innovation Building. We will then move south to downtown San Diego tour, to Balboa Park and Mingay. I want to thank Mingay for all the support. And especially its executive director, Rob Sidner, and Patricia Kwe, who is also part of our site visit committee. Thank you. I don't know if Patty, you're here in the room. Then we move to Chicano Park and Barrio Logan, down to the Tijuana River Estuary, and then we end the day with an evening at the Shell. Day two for Tijuana, we cross the border. We go to Friendship Park on the Mexico side, which is more accessible, but also gives a different vantage point of that part of the border, which is important for them to experience. Then we go to the Escuela Libre de Arquitectura. We transition for lunch to the Tijuana Culinary Art Institute, then to Secut, the Cultural Center, and finally Cine Bujasan. Next day, the World Design Organization has requested a half day for contract negotiations. We want that to be more than just a stale board meeting, and we are putting together an experience on the water in the San Diego Harbor. So that is the boil down of some of our efforts. And with that, I hand it over to our co-chairs, Laura Araujo and Eddie Matthews.
Thanks so much, Carlos. And thank you all for being here. It's an absolute honor. So next slide, Emily, if we can. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of how the organizational structure of this looks like. So I'm co-chairs with Laura Araujo for the WDC Site Visit Experience Committee, which you can see down there in the middle square right there. But I'll start at the top. So shared governance with the Design Forward Alliance Board of Directors, which our go-between is Michelle Morris. Michelle has been such an open channel of communication between us and the DFA board and is always accessible. And so it's kind of great to see that cycle and work. So that's always an open channel of communication. The shortlist operational leadership. So that's Carlos Cusciani, who you just heard from, and Sophia Eichner. Sophia has been brilliant, kind of Carlos's right hand in terms of moving things forward with emails, operations, setting up meetings. Absolutely brilliant. And then the advisors and sponsors. That includes a group with the Burnham Center Board of Advisors. It's the Advisory Committee of Design Professionals, which we constantly are getting feedback from, community leaders and binational stakeholders, and some of those sponsors, including the Rethinking Foundation, Carleton Management, Illumina, and among others. And then down here, I'll start with our committee, the Site Visit Experience Committee, like I mentioned. So we kind of were tasked with conceptually trying to build this 2.5-day site visit experience. So distilling this, brilliant but large 280-page document, for the bid into a really comprehensible, succinct, quality, representative experience for here. And so what that should go into, and then using those criteria to really select what events and places really represent who we are as a binational community. And so that was really kind of conceptually what we were coming from, and then aggregating those assets and contacts. And then working with the design core group, who's really executing this, who's putting the material together, who's really kind of planning, okay, how do we get from point A to point B? How do we represent who we are in a visual way? What virtual parts of this experience are we creating? What video components, like we'll mention, that you can get involved with. So the design core group has just been our real brilliant, once we give them the concepts to execute, how do they actually make that into an experience? And what does that look like in modality and medium? And then the DFA working group, we have the standing meeting on Friday, which is such a brilliant time to kind of compare notes, make sure we're on the same page. And so that is with kind of the chairs of each of the committees, as well as Michelle Morris, president of the DFA, Carlos, our executive director, and then just members of the community, people like Jonathan Gluss from the arts kind of culture city side of the San Diego side. And it's just been brilliant to see that kind of community grow in a binational way. Yeah, and so that's kind of the rundown of how the organizational structure looks like. And you can see the two arrows. It's just a constant kind of cycle of information kind of continuing. And this has been the most transparent organization I've ever been a part of. So there really is information available for everybody at any time. We use a Google Drive, we use Slack, and it's been a really helpful kind of way to share information. So as far as the faces behind each of these entities and organizations, Laura, can you walk us through just all these brilliant screenshots you've been taking of our Zoom meetings?
Thank you, Eddie. My name is Laura Araujo. I'm currently Director of Binational Affairs for Tijuana Innovadora, but I'm actually a graphic designer by profession. And I see some of my ex-students, now colleagues here joining us. Thank you, bienvenidos. And yeah, that graph, if you could go back just a second, Emily, that graph sounds so, great, but what it actually looks like in person, go ahead, Emily, is this. We started with this group of about, 50 plus people working on this. Go ahead, Emily. And this has grown to the next one, Emily, to these almost, 2-3 meetings a day with advisors, with designers, with design core group, DFA, impact measurement group. It's really been, and if you consider that we're doing this during COVID lockdown, it's been an extraordinary challenge, but a challenge that we really have met, and I think we've even surpassed. So much so that we believe that we're creating this infrastructure for a new type of binational collaboration, which is something that we'll talk about a bit later. And with that, I'll hand it over to Eddie. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Laura. And then Emily, if we could go to the next slide, that'd be right. So economic impact and development. So for the projections that we've made for this, I had a conversation with Michelle, which was so encouraging to me. And she kind of helped me think through, we're not just using big data, we're using human data. And that's kind of community influenced. And so when we think about economic impact, we're really thinking about the people we're going to bring to this region. So 4 million unique visitors is what we project this experience to be once we win. And 1.4 million overnight visits booked, and then 46,000 direct jobs created and maintained, and 73,000 indirect jobs supported. So you can see, it's just for us, what motivates us as a binational community is just investing in the people of this community. And we're really excited about the impact that this is going to make for this entire region. So that's just one piece of it. And then another piece is that we really anticipate this is going to be an opportunity for new partnerships and enriching current collaborations. One example of that we kind of briefly touched on earlier is there's this network of cities meeting that we're anticipating to be in 2024. And that's going to be from the new US Consulate building in Otay Mesa. And just, it commands a sweeping view of both cities. And what's so nice of that is we're going to get all the kind of civic leaders together and introduce them, or reintroduce them rather, to design thinking and how that might be able to solve some of our problems with homelessness, some of our problems with the municipalities, some of our problems that kind of have been dogging this region for a long time as far as climate change, the Tijuana estuary, and just working together and using design thinking and the World Design Capital as a venue for that and a space for that, and just making sure we're creating those intentional partnerships that are going to long outlast the actual designation in 2024. So we're really kind of thinking long-term with this. And I just think about a recent conversation I had with the NTC Foundation and Andrew Walls, the director of programming over there. and just talking about how the World Design Capital can really help them accomplish their goals. So we're really going to organizations in the community and be like, what do you want to do? How can you use this? How can we amplify already what you're current to do? And it was a really just encouraging conversation, because we just got to dream together. And he talked about his current slate of programming and how we could work together to amplify the reach of that. And that's really what we want this one function of this World Design Capital to be. And then as far as continuing collaborations, Laura, did you want to talk about Tijuana and Innovadora and what World Design Capital would mean for them, for you?
Yeah, well, just shortly, I'd like to mention that for those of you who are familiar with Tijuana Innovadora, we've been, working on the San Diego-Tijuana partnership since 2011. And we've all seen, like San Diego Design Week, there are events and activities that go on, but they usually, happen for a brief period of time. They leave the mark, but then we continue with other issues or other subjects. And this project actually is creating an infrastructure or a benchmark for continuous binational relationship. And we feel that isn't it lovely that it's being constructed through design and with designers. We know that we are in as Stephanie mentioned, design is everywhere and in everything, and impacts everything we do. So I think it's really perfect that this benchmark for new binational collaboration is being designed with design and design thinking in mind. We believe that this will help it grow, and touch many other areas of our San Diego-Tijuana relationship. And this will just be, it'll just push us forward to the next phase of our regional collaboration. So fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. And then just touching on that new paradigm for design thinking, we mentioned this briefly, and this can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but one way that we're thinking about it is just making design visible. So that's kind of one of our kind of core stories, is how do we make design visible in the community, and reach beyond just the community of designers and introduce new people to design and design thinking, and really just leveraging the entire educational kind of ecosystem, from CETIS to UCSD and PLNU to make all of these kind of collaborations in the binational community, to use this to really leverage to make some connections that were otherwise in personal relationships that were not otherwise there before. So I'm just really excited to kind of, I teach at Point Loma Nazarene University. I'm excited to talk to, Marco and our team, and getting CETIS and these binational kind of student working groups involved, to get students incorporated into this and just really invest in the next generation, and bring them into the fold. Those who are thinking through their careers, and also see, the World Design Capital as an opportunity for that. So as far as ways to get involved, Laura, did you want to include anything else before I move on?
No, go ahead, Eddie. You're
okay.
Fine.
Yeah, as far as ways to get involved, we have a multitude of ways. So now in the Zoom chat, I see just this brilliant kind of dialogue that's been going along. So please, by all means, continue to contribute to that conversation. Later, we're going to send out a Google form and really just collect your feedback, your desire for participation, if you have that, anything that you feel like you want to contribute to this process and this team. There's room for everybody, and we really mean that. Obviously, as a volunteer, now as we kind of navigate this shortlist site visit, or in the years leading up to 2024 and even and beyond, there's going to be a lot of work to do, and we need your voice. We have a Slack channel built up. So Emily has been our kind of Slack czar and been just brilliant kind of managing the communications there. So please, if you'd like to see just the kind of internal communications of how we're putting this together, please join us in that conversation. And then community voices videos. This has been a really fun way to just get the faces and the voices and the people of this community, and just to answer, what does design look like for you? What are places that inhabit design? What makes this community feel like home for you? And getting kind of short videos of like that, we're going to compile. And Laura, did you want to talk about that community voices videos at all, or am I missing anything?
No, that's great. And we, for those of you who want to join, we're making sure that this is truly a binational effort, and we're taking in videos in Spanish and in English. Both will be subtitled, backwards. So please join us. Please join this community. As it's been mentioned, this is a grassroots community endeavor. So join us, please.
That's brilliant. And Emily, I think we can go to the next slide and then hand it off to the next group. Thanks so much.
Yes, so we added a lot of links in the chat for you all today. And like Eddie mentioned, we really are trying to be a transparent, bottom up, right, cross discipline group. We truly mean it when we say you're invited to everything. Join our Slack, share your voices, get involved. That Google form document that we put into the chat is a way for you to indicate to us, what are your areas of passion and interest? What are the topics you're most enthusiastic of being a part of helping to address? What are your superpowers, right? What skills would you like to share? Are you a community organizer? Are you an artist? Are you a graphic designer or instructional designer? Truly will have need for all, not only in these immediate months, but in the years to come. And we're trying to build as broad and diverse a network of collaborators as possible. So please do fill out that form, join our Slack, and share your voice with us in those community videos. This final slide is just to show, right, this is the kind of foundational organizing group who's helping to kind of put forward these efforts, but I truly do mean foundation, right? We're a structure that we want all of you to stand upon to help advance this work. And as I mentioned, you know, get in touch. That's really what we want to do. We want to hear from you. We want to participate with you. We want you to be play a role, whatever role that you want to play in this work in the days, weeks, and months to come. So we hope that we'll hear from you. We have 2 minutes left before our call is over. So I want to say thank you again to my incredible co-hosts and collaborators today, and acknowledge again the hundreds of people whose shoulders we're standing upon, who have been leading this work for years, right? As Michelle said earlier, in some of those earliest conversations around what is the opportunity for design in our region, there are so many people who've been a part of this. If you go to the H.O.M.E 2024 website right now, you can see just a short list of some of the people who have been involved specifically in the phases that led to where we are right now with the bid. So I want to just honor and thank all of them for their incredible contributions. And we want you to be a part of this delegation and group in the future. So we hope we'll hear from you. Hope we'll see you in Slack. I live in Slack. Chat me in Slack. If you ever want to hear about what's going on at World Design Capital, I'm there to answer your questions. And yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. We really hope that you'll be motivated to get involved. We want you in this work. Please reach out. Thank you. This is a meeting format too, which means you can talk. It's not webinar. So, you know, I know the meeting's over at 9:45, but I'm happy to stay here actually and stop sharing my screen. And if anybody would like to share a word, share a thought, share some feedback, we welcome it. Or if you have to go. I know there are many, many great events for San Diego Design Week that you're probably all eager to attend.
Yes, and a big shout out to San Diego Design Week. It's just a small but amazingly huge manifestation of what we're trying to do and what this region is and what we're capable of and the powerhouse that we are. So thank you, Stacey, Kelly, and team. Love San Diego Design Week. Love to be a part of this community.
Thank you, guys. Need to run. Great seeing you. And
Bye,
thank
Laura.
you so much.
Love you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hugs,
Thanks,
hugs.
everyone.
So Emily.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. So right now, of course, you guys are waiting So once you find out, is that when it's best to get more involved? You know, are there certain things you're looking for now or later?
Cheryl, so many things. I mean, we need people now and later. I really think if you wanted to fill out that form and share some details on like what role you would most like to play, or you can use the email address that we shared earlier, which is at the bottom of that form too. You can just email us directly there to say, hey, I have this thing, or I'm interested in that, or I didn't see this here, and maybe you'd like that. We have, right now, our core focus is this short list visit that happens in October. That's where we seal the deal and win the bid, and we get everyone really excited about the opportunity. And we'll definitely be calling upon volunteers, right, for that work, to be hosts, to attend events, right, to participate in that, so to be there and be present. And then, you know, as soon as we hear, we start just sprinting forward to 2024. It sounds like a long time to prepare, but it's actually, it's no time when you consider the ambition of our work. So we're going to start basically immediately. We're already laying the foundation to begin. So that's why it's great. Don't wait. If you're interested, to reach out and say, I'd like to be involved, and we'll have work for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great question. Thank you, Cheryl.
Oh, hello. Thank you for the presentation. It was nice nice intro to what San Diego-Tijuana was. I know I heard of it kind of like I think I heard it from Teddy and some of the emails about it, and I'm like you said, I'm kind of interested in volunteering because I want to start my career in urban planning or sustainability, or correction, more like resiliency, correction. So I graduated in the year 2020 as a spec design in urban and public culture, urban ecology, and a minor entrepreneurship. Since the pandemic, it has been difficult finding system thinking opportunities. And so when I heard of this, I wanted to figure out how can I help out. And yeah.
That's wonderful. I know you have a lot of folks who are here on the call who are, Stephanie especially, kind of working in this speculative, like, future scenarios and urban planning and planning of all sorts space. And there are a lot of people like that involved in this project. So joining as a volunteer and, indicating again some of those areas of interest where you'd most like to learn and make connections, like, that's absolutely a way that we can help support you through this work, right? By introducing you to working groups who are working in that space. People like Teddy Cruz, right, and Fauna Foreman, who are doing some of that work, who are going to be a big part of our shortlist visit, and ultimately, right, some of the work that they're doing long-term in and around the region. So there's lots of opportunities for us to help broker those introductions, create moments for you to make connections and participate in some of that work. And we will be working to advance projects in those spaces over these next 2 years. So please do fill out that form or send us an email and let us know. And we'll be sure to be in touch with you on some of the opportunities most specific to your areas of interest.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I always want, like, bye, Cheryl. I always want
Hi, Cheryl. Yeah.
music playing, like, so it doesn't feel so weird.
Any other thoughts or questions? If not, we can say a temporary goodbye for today and hoping to see you soon.
Bye, Carlos.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Steph.
Bye, team. Thanks so much.
Bye, Eddie.
Bye,
Bye,
Eddie.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.